Good afternoon. Welcome back to my no-name channel. I'm Bruce Pullman, and this is another Bali Covid-19 update. And today is August 25th, 2020. And some bad news for those of you planning on getting to Bali soon. And we'll get to that in a minute. We'll talk about the numbers, about the proposed opening on September 11th, and Kintamani Complaints. No wonders there. Fines in Badung, and Thailand Opening. Is that going to happen, and will it affect what's been done here? I don't know. Let's see. So, let's get started. And first, the numbers. So, numbers continue to rise, and for yesterday, we had 63 new cases, all local Indonesians. 62 were local, and one was a domestic travel case. The 4,576 total positive cases in Bali, 4,007 recovered, 52 deaths, and 517 are presently active. So, numbers are still up there, and there's been a spike since domestic tourism opened up. If you take a look at this graph right here, you'll see the red line shows where the opening was, the domestic opening was, and it shows our numbers going up. What does that say? Well, I don't know. It's not a good sign. And what do we got? Denpasar, plus 10. Karangasem, plus 10. Bulaling, plus 9. Those are the three leaders. And here's my map, my favorite map, showing the spread of COVID cases around the island. And in Bulaling, just this month, 39 healthcare workers from RSUD Bulaling, from the hospital, the General Hospital in Bulaling, have tested positive for cases. 36 of those are recovered, and 3 are still being treated. And the explanation for this is that the General Hospital is a place where the severe cases go, and so the answer to the question of why so many infected there, well, because we get the severe cases. People get sick, they catch the virus, they recover, they come back, they catch it again. Okay, so definitely do not want to end up at the Rumah Sakit in Bulaling. And fortunately, none of those people have died, and the recovery rate continues to be great. The recovery rate in Bali is much higher than around the rest of the country. And so, those are the numbers. What about Indonesia as a whole? Well, yesterday, 1,877 new cases. We now have a total of 155,412 in Indonesia. So, when we're talking about opening, how many people want to go from a place where they're getting 5 cases a day, 10 cases a day, 20 cases a day, to an island that's getting 40, 50, 70, to a country that's getting a couple thousand a day? That's the question. And let's take a look. What's happening? Is Bali going to open? Question is Bali going to open? The answer is no. It was announced the day before yesterday, or was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, I think, that Bali is not going to open on September 11th, as was proposed. Now, some people have been criticizing the governor for backing off on a promise. He never made a promise. If you pay attention to, and you can go back and look at some past videos here that I've done, September 11th was always a proposed date, based on how things were turning out, how things looked. And the national government has decided to continue restrictions on foreigners entering Indonesia. So Bali has no choice, for one thing. And so the word is that at this point is that Bali will remain closed until the end of 2020. Now, are they going to open in December? Time for the Christmas, New Year's high season? There's no firm date. It just says closed for the rest of the year. It's possible that they could open up in December. Maybe not. Now, the governor said, and the governor was mistaken in this, that there are no countries in the world allowing its citizens to travel overseas. Well, obviously wrong. There are European countries allowing citizens to travel. I talked to several of my friends who are in Eastern Europe. They're allowed to travel from one country to the next, although most of the ones, well, none of my friends are. And there are other countries around the world as well. So the governor was mistaken in this case, although later in his discussion, he qualified that statement by saying many countries, not all countries. So, regardless whether he is wrong or not, there are countries that are allowing their citizens to travel overseas, but not the big numbers for Bali. Australia, no. Korea, Japan, China, those are not going to be feeding us with a guest. And so the governor said that while Bali wanted to open up, the national government supports that, but they feel that the cases, the number of new cases every day is not under control yet, and bringing people in too early, being in too much of a rush, bringing people in and having what's happened around the world with second waves and spikes, having that happen and having to close Bali down again will give Bali a bad reputation. As Bali is known, he said, for the best tourist destination in the world. It's one of the top tourist destinations, not the top. Well, I don't think so anyway. But he's right about that. We bring people in and we get spikes, and people get sick here, and they go home and they're sick. It looks bad for us. Now, in the past, there's been this talk about, well, we have all these protocols in place, and so people are following these. And when domestic tourism opened up, and they said, oh, they're going to have to go through all these protocols. They have to wear a mask. They have to wash their hands. They have to social distance. Is that happening here? No, it's not. Now, if the government can't enforce the protocols already with domestic tourists here and with the foreigners that are here already, how are they going to do it when we get thousands and thousands and thousands? Case in point, the other day, my brother-in-law went over to the local tourist supermarket, Papito's, in Lovina. A sign clearly stating you should wear a mask inside. He said they were full of foreigners. Not one of them was wearing a mask, despite the fact that it's mandatory in Indonesia. So tourists are disrespecting local regulations, the ones that are here. So why do we expect any tourist to follow local regulations? And who is that put at risk? It puts the people that are here at risk. People who can't necessarily afford to get sick, who don't have the financial resources, who will be stuck in hospitals with not necessarily the best care, because the hospitals will be overloaded. If we get a surge here, hospitals are going to be overloaded. We have a limited amount of beds, a limited amount of personnel. So I see part of this as the problem with the foreigners that are here that continue to disrespect the government, disrespect local people in the name of individual freedom and the talk about wearing a mask. Oh, I don't need to wear a mask because I'm free. I shouldn't have to. Who cares what the government says? Well, then they shouldn't be here in the first place. So, more of my mask rant. By the way, over the weekend, you notice I haven't done a COVID-19 update in a little while. We've been having a wedding here. My eldest daughter got married. You can see a video of it up here if you want to see what a Muslim wedding is like in Indonesia, well, in Bali too. And everybody wore masks. Now, some of them wore masks in that Indonesian way where it kind of comes down here under the nose or on the chin. But we were enforcing mask wearing. Social distancing, no. And social distancing is not happening anywhere on the island. So the government is not able to enforce its protocols now. So why is it going to be able to enforce them in the future when we get tourists here? It's not happening. So the focus is still on domestic tourists, like I mentioned in the last video, and to get that number up to 70%. Plus, there are other things the government is doing now. They're going to put more support into agriculture. There's a green industrial development going on in Jimbrana. My son-in-law is involved in that, and that shows some great possibilities in diversifying our economic base so that we're not dependent on tourism. Bali has to get off of the tourist wheel. We've seen what's happened after 9/11, after the Bali bombings, after the Bali bombing 2, when Mount Agung erupted. We put all of our eggs in one basket, we're in trouble. We can see, here we are again. Is this going to be the end of pandemics? No, not necessarily. Is Agung going to stay quiet forever? Terrorism is always a possibility. We need to have a more diverse economy. So, that's the news. In terms of that, if you're disappointed, yeah, that's unfortunate. I hope I'd mentioned before on another one of these that you should be sure that you can cancel your tickets if you jumped ahead and planned on coming here in September. I said a number of videos ago that I really was thinking more realistically, looking at December, at the high season around Christmas time, and I'm hoping that that will still be possible. So we'll see. But for the moment, no. Now, some people are saying that they've applied for visas, that they've been told they can get visas, and I've seen a lot of ads online, and there have been reports already coming onto social media of people who have paid agents to get them visas, and then the agents have disappeared with the money. No visas have shown up. So you need to be careful if you're trying to get a visa. As far as I know, there are no short-term visas being issued, and there's a link below to the immigration website, and you can take a look there and find the latest information on visa situation. Go to a source that's reliable, even though it changes sometimes from day to day. Okay, so that's it. We'll see what happens. Let's go on. What about those of us that are here and the domestic tourists? What's happening there? Well, Kintamani Complaints. So, according to an article in the Bali Post, there have been many complaints about fees at tourist attraction areas in the Kintamani area. Now, this isn't anything new. There have been complaints about the Kintamani area since I've been here, 31 years. About excess fees, asking fees for things. Long time ago, back 30, 31 years, there used to be a little post at the corner of the road that you can turn down when you're coming up into Kintamani from Bulang, and you turn down to go over to Ubud. They used to charge a fee there. There would be a guy getting to use the road. Well, that disappeared after some complaints. And, well, who's getting the fees and how much are they? What's the standard price? Those are the problems. The Bangli DPRD member, Imade Sudiasa, said that he has complained about this. He's asked the Bangli Regency government to conduct an evaluation into how much is being charged, who's charging them, and what's going on with this situation. Because he said he's received many complaints from not just tourists but local residents as well about the fees. And according to this article, local residents are being charged, being asked to pay for things just for passing through Kintamani. I was planning on going up to Kintamani to fly my drone tomorrow, but I'm thinking to probably go other places first. So if you're going to Kintamani, you might want to think about what's going on with the fee structure there. And Kintamani also has its own problems with COVID-19. So unfortunate. I hope Kintamani gets it together. It's a beautiful area. Lots of beautiful scenery, particularly when you're at the mountain and the lake down below. It's nice and cool up there. The city itself is kind of cute. Yeah, I hope they get it together, because I've always enjoyed going up there. Fines for not following new normal protocols. The Badung government has decided to get tough with people who are not following the new normal protocols, and they've announced fines of 100,000 rupees for individuals, 500,000 rupees for business. Additional sanctions may include verbal warnings, written warnings, social work, administrative fines, termination or temporary closure of businesses. And these sanctions are an attempt by the government to force people to become more disciplined in following the protocols, which includes wearing masks, cleaning hands, physical distancing, and adopting a clean and healthy lifestyle. I'm not sure about what the clean and healthy lifestyle is. But they're going to fine people. Is that going to happen, or is that just another government, more government talk? I don't know, because certainly we're not seeing enforcement of the protocols as they exist, as I mentioned earlier. And it's not just foreigners, it's locals as well. Social distancing, like I've said so many times in these COVID-19 updates, is just not happening. Indonesians just do not social distance. Boy, it's tough to get them to see that. I've kind of given up on that. Mask? No. Here in Singaraja, you go into shops, people see the mask sign, they have masks on. When you're out on a motorbike here in the city, as I said before, yes, once you get out farther away from the center of the city, no, not necessarily. They may have the mask down. And when I'm on the motorcycle, when I was going to the West Coast, once I got out of the city, I pulled my mask down. Around here, it made it easier for me to breathe. More enforcement. We need more enforcement of this. You can see what's happening in, I was talking to a doctor friend of mine in Seoul yesterday, and he said the second wave is here and it could be worse than the original. They're worried about hospital beds, how bad this is going to be. They're up. Remember, Korea was down to 0. They're up to 300 cases a day again. So, and you're seeing this second waves coming in other places. So, what's going to happen? I don't know. It seems like for the time being, COVID's going to be here with us for a while. The vaccines are still being developed. As I said, Russia, is kind of skipped a step and has a vaccine. Trump, who knows what Trump's going to do? He may be shooting people up with bleach. And we're just waiting. One of the discouraging things is the number of people that said that they won't take the vaccine, even if a vaccine is created. So this could be a long haul. Okay, and let's get to the last story. I want to wrap this up for today. Thailand Opening. So I saw yesterday that there was a news story, and there's links down below. Thailand is another country like Indonesia. Thailand gets about 15% of its GDP from tourism, and so they wanted to open. And so they've been floating this idea, and according to the news story, it's been confirmed they are going to, on October 1st, open up to international travelers, some international travelers, selected countries. Countries were not made clear in the article. Don't think they've been decided on yet. Selective countries, and they're going to be one place. They're going to be allowed to go into Phuket. Now, what happens here is, according to this, the selected countries will be allowed to go into Phuket. They're going to have tests, and there's going to be 2 tests. They're going to need to stay for a 30-day period, a minimum 30-day period. And the first 2 weeks that they're there, they have to quarantine in the hotel. So their hotel room, the open areas in the hotel, and according to the article, maybe the beach as well. That's it. They're restricted to the hotel area for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they can get another test on the 3rd week. And they have that test, and if that's okay, then they would be allowed to go outside of Phuket and travel around to other areas of Thailand. So this is a test case to see how it's going to work. And it's an interesting idea to keep it really restricted to where it can be closely monitored and controlled. Now, this just came out yesterday, as I said. So I haven't seen any response from the Indonesian government. Will there be? The Indonesian government is very reactive. So let's say that this petition has some kind of impact. Who knows? Let's say that it does. But more importantly, I think the Indonesian government looks at Thailand and says, well, they're opening October 1st. Maybe we should not wait until the end of the year so that they're getting all the tourists and we're not getting any. Do we want them to get a jump on us? I don't know. It's possible. I mean, I can certainly see the Indonesian government thinking that way. So despite the fact that right now the story is that Bali is not going to open until the end of 2020, till the end of the year, nothing is set in stone here. Nothing is ever set in stone here. So it's possible that it will open, that will be open sometime before January 1st, before December 31st. Will it be as early as October? It doesn't look like it at this point, but you can never tell. The other thing to remember if this is that Thailand is much different than Indonesia. Thailand has nowhere near the number of cases as Indonesia. They were much more aggressive, much more forceful in dealing with the COVID-19 issue. People were not allowed to travel from province to province. Alcohol was not sold. I watched a number of videos of people that I know online, my online friends, who complained about it, but said that's the way it is. And so Thailand's in a much better place than we are today. So they can take that risk, a controlled risk. So that's it. As of today, August 25th, 2020, Bali is not going to be opening on September 11th. So that's it. That's the way I see things. Stay safe. Follow protocols. If you're in Bali, wear a mask. Whether you believe that it's good or not, it is mandatory. Follow the rules. Okay, stay safe. Be kind to someone today. Thanks for visiting. See you next time.